As you can see, there's all kinds of tracks back here, Coyote Tracks and everything. I'm going to be talking to Matt more about the coyote problem on our farm. He's going to kind of explain what's been going on and what we can do to kind of prevent our dogs from getting hurt or eaten or anything like that.
Side by side, they'll have the front and back seats.
Hey guys, I'm just sitting out here in the Jeep. I'm in the back 40 right now, what we call the back 40. On the 100-acre farm here, we've got about sort of 5 or 6 acres of a rectangle bush in the back corner. And I'm just driving out here in my Jeep right now, and you can see I'm just kind of full of everything. Got some paddles from Randy at ALGONQUIN Outfitters. Kayak paddle from Scott at Swift. Highway on Highway 11, and very thankful for that stuff. But I'm just following tracks right now, and obviously we're in farm country, and having coyotes, or coyotes as I call them, on the farm is not a problem, and they really are on every farm. But there seems to be, in my understanding of coyotes, there's always a male-female pairing, and they're generally monogamous unless one of them passes. There must be a male leading his family here that has our farm inside of his territory. That is very territorial because he continues to harass our dogs, and David and I have some big dogs, and they don't want really much to do with these coyotes. And we've had coyotes here, you know, since the eastern coyote has been out in Ontario for at least 100 years. They are not native to this area. They came from BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, the western coyote, and they have evolved a bit coming out here. They've gotten a little bit bigger. There's a little bit of wolf DNA in them, maybe 10%-ish, give or take, wolf DNA in any coyote that you catch and test from certain courses that I've gone to. But anyways, that being said, farm dogs and coyotes have lived together for a long time, and they generally stay away from each other. But for some reason, this guy is quite dominant, and so that being said, I always like to drive out in the Jeep or the side-by-side and follow the tracks and try and get a pattern of what they're doing. And so here I am in the back 40 in the Jeep right now, a path that David and I worked on for the last year.
That was fun.
I'm dirty now.
This is some dense bush, so Jesse and I are gonna have to carve our way back through this area so we can get this back at some point. I don't know if we're even gonna get a little bit into this. I think we're probably gonna have to bring a chainsaw back. We're gonna kind of scout a trail. Go lower, bud. Go low if you're cutting. Get low to the ground. Yeah. We're gonna cut a path back to our fort, which is right back here. Oh, I just saw Charlie and thought it was a bear. So we want to eventually get our quad back here, but with all this bush back here, we can't do much at the moment. So our first plan is to kind of blaze a bit of a trail, do as much as we can by hand, and then we'll get the saws and stuff back here eventually. As you can see, Jesse and I are making short work of this trail. Just kidding, it's a pretty dense forest. So making trails is, you know, slow moving.
I'm just gonna flip this around. So this is the path. I'm gonna try and drive out real slow here. And I'm in low range in first gear because I don't want to get going too quick here. And I don't have the Joby on me, so this is gonna be a little bouncy. But this is just kind of a day in the life of us, the Muskoka Bros, and living on a farm and kind of getting out there. You know, in 100 acres, there's sometimes you don't want to walk it. You want to jump on a machine or we have these you know, basically they're tools for us. Oh, that was a bumpy bump. And so yeah, we like to get out there. We get outside, and we get outside on our own property. And in the back 40 we have our permanent base camp, which is, you know, it's under construction. We've got a few things there, but in no way, shape or form is it ready to host and camp multiple people. But anyways, that's the goal. Muskoka Bros continue to work on their bushcraft skills, and we're fortunate enough we get to do it on our own farm. So this farm has been in David's family. I think Jesse, his son, is 8 generations. And so as you most of you guys know, I'm married to David's sister, and I'm married into this legacy. And my son and Jesse growing up like brothers, though they're cousins, and we're just doing life together. So here we are in an open field, and I made it out of the bush, and I'm just following some more tracks here. They love to walk along the edges of the bush, and they kind of scurry out rabbits and turkeys. The rabbits, we got cottontails. They love to just be in the edges of the bush. And so tracks, you know, daily are right along the edges, always along the edges of all these tree lines of the farms. And I don't know if you probably can't see that, but yeah, right there. And yeah, they love to scurry out the rabbits and the mice, and then they run them down pretty easily once they get them out into the open field. And it's what's really interesting is, as I love watching the tracks in the snow. That's what I love about when winter sets in, because it's like a book. It just, the words are written down, their actions are written down in the snow, and I get to see actually even chases going on. I can see rabbits bounding in their footprints, and the coyotes, you know, really trotting fast. And then all of a sudden you see a big flurry of action in the snow, and then just a single set of tracks walk away, and so you know the coyote has caught that rabbit. So I hope you can tell by this, I have a huge appreciation for the Canis lupinus, which is the eastern coyote. But this guy is an issue for us right now, and to the point that we're not letting our dogs run free outside. And on 100 acres surrounded by farms, you really should be able to do that. So I've got to try and figure out you know, whether we can capture or destroy. But anyways, if this video ever makes it to the internet, comment on your thoughts, your stories. I know a lot of people have a story of a family member or friend who's lost a dog to a coyote, especially in the more rural areas. Well, speak of the devil, we got tracks here in the snow. So these are rabbit tracks. This is cottontail. See, kind of side by side. They'll have their front and back feet. Actually, when they're full on bounding, they're kind of like this, and then their back feet go past the front, and then the fronts, and
and then the back feet go past the front. So we got rabbit tracks here, and what do you know, we got coyote tracks too. Now these are blowing in from the wind, so they could be a day old maybe. We've had wicked winds here lately, but here's coyote right along here. It actually could be one or two. If you look over here, you can kind of see there's tracks right there and tracks right there, and they're side by side, and he's not really going to double back on himself like that. So this is probably the mating pair, or they could be juvenile adults from last spring. So generally they have a 60-day gestation right about now. So this is this is a third week of January. Right about from now to, you know, mid-February, end of February, they kind of get into mating season, and then 60 days on top of that. You know, about I'd say 10 months ago, she would have had a litter, and so they would basically look like adults to most people. But again, what I was saying about the tracks in the snow, it's just, you know, it's just wherever you look, you know, and anywhere you go on a farm in southern Ontario or central Ontario, you're getting coyote tracks. And I know once you get into that Algonquin area, that's when there's a bit of a conversion where they do have it, you know, cohabitate. And then the further north you get, north of you know, Huntsville and Algonquin, the Muskokas, you're pretty much just into just the wolf territory at that point. I think earlier in the film I called the eastern coyote the Canis lupinus. That's actually the eastern gray wolf. Canis latrans is the eastern coyote. And like I said, there has been some hybridization. It's not common. And from what I've looked at and researched, it's not currently taking place. A lot of people talk about coy wolves, coy dogs, and wolf coyote hybrids. The research I've done on it is talks about when the western coyote made its way across Canada, and farmers really, you know, in the 19th century, 1800s, were homesteading southern Ontario like crazy. They really put the hurt on the wolves, and they were trapping and poisoning bait like crazy to turn forested areas and into farmland. And of course the wolves were a big problem for the farmers, so at that point in time their rationale was eradication. And so as the wolf species was declining in this southern and south central area of Ontario, they were a little more desperate, and they did cross breed with coyotes. They are natural enemies, so this is not a common thing, and this is not something that is still going on in 2019, but that set of DNA has still carried through. So like I said, the information I've gleaned in the seminars that I've gone to say that any random coyote that you would catch and DNA test is going to be 10 to maximum 25% wolf DNA. And there's all kinds of debate on coy wolves and coy dogs. One thing I do know from research that I've done, if a coyote and a dog, a domestic dog, crossbreed, which is extremely rare, the offspring is unable to reproduce. So that's the end of it. So they're always a one-off. So the whole coy dog thing of whether a husky and a coyote have, you know, when people see big coyotes and they think, oh, it must be a coy dog, it's really, you got a better chance of winning the lottery on that one. So, but actually, as I'm speaking here, I have been tweeting with Algonquin Provincial Park, and they have been tweeting back some information on some studies they've done or had done in the park, and I'm interested in reading that. So I know that hybridization has happened, but it, to my knowledge, is not still going on. And like I said, a coyote and a wolf are natural enemies. I would say that I have a trained eye for a coyote and a wolf.
it's a passion of mine, and so when I have taken different little fun online tests of you look at 20 different captions and photos of a wolf or a coyote, and they try and, you know, and it's really it can stump a lot of people. I generally you know, almost get 19 out of 20 or 20 out of 20, no big deal on these tests. If you look at them long enough and you study what one looks like from the other, there are very, very easy markers to tell the difference from, you know, the way they stand, the shape of the body, the tails, the ears, the elongated noses and mouths, and I mean they are two separate species. So, but they are cousins, and so they do share some similar traits. But anyways, I'm rambling on now. I'm going to close this one up, but here's the that's the bad boy that gets me through the farm fields most of the time. Sometimes I do get stuck, but anyways, like I said earlier, if you have any experience in this, you'd like to comment, I would love to read some comments on your thoughts on the eastern coyote and eastern gray wolf, and what's going on in Ontario and Algonquin Park. So like and subscribe on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and remember guys, we just got to get out there.